In this episode, I'm joined by Anna Martin, and we talk about how to perfect your back squat. I want you to have the capability to fully move the way your body was designed to, right?
Jump overhead, I'll take you back to where my problems lie. In trouble, younger daughter done some that made my mama cry. Out to the heavens like I bless him, for I know he's lost. Caught in a trance and this manic depression settled in. Living in the fantasy world.
Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Dr. Horschig and this is episode 10 of the Ask Squat You Show. Today, we're joined by a very special guest. This is my coach, Anna Martin. Anna, do you want to introduce yourself to everyone?
Sure. So hi, my name is Anna Martin. I am the head coach of KC Weightlifting. I've been a lifter for almost 25 years. I started when I was 14 and competed kind of all over. I've coached at two Olympic training centers in Colorado Springs and Northern Michigan. I was a strength and conditioning coach at Oklahoma State and Tulane University. And then during that time, I was able to lift on 2 international teams, taking second place in Mexico City's Olympic Festival. And then recently, I'm now a master lifting, abroad, and this year I've won the nationals for masters and broke all the records. And a couple years ago, I won the world championships for masters. And so I just do that kind of stuff and coach a lot of athletes, anywhere from my youngest is 8 years old to my oldest is 71. So.
And you've brought a number of athletes to national meets who have medaled before.
Yes, yeah, quite a few.
So quite a bit of experience. And every single coach, no matter how old you are, should always have a coach looking after them, making sure that they're staying on track with their training. So that's why I have always been training with Anna since I've been out here at Kansas City weightlifting. So we are going to go through a couple things today, and let's get to today's question.
Cody Wright asks, is there any way you could do a video on how to properly high bar squat?
All right, so today's topic is how to perform a perfect back squat. Now I'm going to use Anna here as my model, and we're going to go through the different steps that I take to teach a beginner how to perform a back squat. Now, first things first is, where is the bar set? Now, a lot of times you may walk into a gym and you'll see someone with the bar set up really high or really low. Both of those things are going to put you in a bad position to take the bar out of the rack and even start your lift. So you want to make sure the bar is at about chest or maybe even shoulder height. So Anna's going to get under the bar in the right position. If the bar is set too high, she's going to have to get up on her tippy toes just to get it off. If it's too low, she's going to have to squat really low just to get it out. So first things first, as she pulls herself under the bar, she's squeezing her shoulder blades back and pulling her elbows back so it's in line with her torso. What this is going to do is retract your scapulas, your shoulder blades, and pull your muscles into a good shelf position for the bar. So it's secure on your back, and it will actually feel weightless if you squeeze them together and almost push up a little bit. So we're making a nice hard contraction. Then we're going to stand directly up. Notice how her feet were together. When she stood out, she wasn't getting under the bar in a split stance. Okay, she took a couple steps back, she set her feet. Now the position of her feet right now are slightly toed out. Now, while most of us should have the ability to squat body weight with our toes relatively straight forward, when it comes time to pick up the barbell, we are now in a more sport-specific stance. And turning out the toes for some can allow you to achieve a deeper squat and have a little bit more torque generation at your hips because you're not always fighting against some of your mobility restrictions that you may have from the ankle or hip. So we want to be able, when we pick up the barbell, to maximize our current capabilities, and turning those toes out slightly, maybe 15 degrees, 20 degrees at max, will allow you to do so. So she's gotten into a good position, her elbows are back, shoulders pulled together. Now the first thing she's going to do before she starts her squat is she's going to breathe into her stomach and brace her core like someone's about to jack her right in the stomach. Now, with obviously light weight, this is not a huge movement, but when you have a lot of weight on the bar, the bigger you can breathe into your stomach and then brace, the stronger your core is going to be, the more stable it will be, and the less the weight will actually feel like it's crushing your body. So she's going to brace. Now she's going to start this movement with her hips. By engaging her hips, just very small, she's then going to squat straight down. From that bottom position, she's going to drive straight up. Now, a couple of things beginners will do incorrectly is they'll start their squat by breaking their knees straight forward. just like that. Now what that does is first overloads the knee joint a crazy amount early on in the squat. Eventually, that can lead to a lot of pain. Second thing it does is it pushes you off balance. Now, when we look at the squat from the side, ideally I want to see that bar tracking directly over the middle of your foot. That means your body's in balance and capable of producing efficient force and power. If you drive your knees forward at the start of the squat, that bar is going to track forward as well, and you're going to be off balance. Now, by engaging the hips slightly, we keep the bar in balance, we engage our posterior chain, the strongest muscles of our body, and we have a nice and balanced squat. Now, the second thing people will do incorrectly is they'll take a huge hip hinge. So that hip will go real far back, the bar just pushed right over the toes. Again, you're off balance, just in the opposite direction. The amount of hip hinge you take at the start of the squat will be based on the type of squat you're doing, high bar versus low bar or front squat, and will also be based on your anatomy. If you have a lifter with really long legs and a really short torso, in order to keep that bar balanced over the middle of their foot, you're going to need to take a fairly big hip hinge. However, for someone who's got short legs and a longer torso, if they take that same amount of hip hinge, that bar is not going to remain balanced over the middle of their foot. So always view your squat from the side to check to see if your body's in balance. So one more time, hips go back, squat down. The knees are always staying in line with the body and back up. Let's look at this from one more angle. All right, now if we view the squat from the front, I directly want to look at the knees and see what they're doing. Now, the knees are basically a hinge joint stuck between the hip and the ankle. We want them to open directly in line with those joints the entire squat. So as she squats down, that knee needs to stay in direct alignment with the toes. What will happen is you'll see athletes whose knees will cave in, like that, or people will push their knees too far wide on the downside. One of the cues a lot of coaches will use is drive the knees wide. Now, as a lifter squats down, if their knees collapse inwards, instantly the cue, drive the knees wide, can sometimes realign the foot. However, if you drive that knee too far wide, what happens is that the foot rolls on its side and you became off balance just in the opposite direction. Remember, the knee always needs to remain in line with the foot, but the foot needs to stay stable. So one cue I like to use is to jam the big toe into the ground. Bring your foot into an arch. This is called a tripod foot. And by keeping the big toe in contact with the ground the full time, as you squat down, you can't push the knee too far wide, because if you do, the foot rolls on its side. So our cues for the front angle is, after you start your squat, big toe into the ground, knees in line the entire time. That's a good squat from the front view. So one of the common questions I get is, how do I actually grip the bar to put it on my back? Well, a very easy coaching cue is to find a bar that's got a smooth section and knurling right here. Now, you usually want to take about a shoulder width grip, so your thumbs are going to be extended, and that's the position where you want to place your hands. So I'll have Anna place her hands there. We're about shoulder width apart. She's going to pull herself under the bar, and like we talked about, squeeze her shoulder blades back and together to create that muscle bulge to be able to set the bar on top of. That's a good starting position. And back down. A lot of times you'll see people will take a very, very narrow grip, which I think sometimes can decrease your stability of the bar, and then also some people will have a very, very wide grip. When you take a really wide grip, you decrease the amount of contraction you can make in your mid-back muscles, and I think sometimes can decrease the amount of stability you can create for the bar. So for most people, I would like to see about a shoulder grip width on the bar. So the last thing we're going to talk about with squat technique is how to correctly fight through the sticking point of a back squat. Now I'm going to have Anna perform the squat. I'm going to show you where most people fail at a squat is about halfway up. They've already passed the parallel line. So you're going to get down. As she comes up, that's about the point where people lose the squat. And the big thing I see is people's hips are still shooting back and driving up, and they fail forward, so they have to drop the bar. What you can do in this position is drive your hips forward as you drive up. What that's going to do is transfer the torque generating power from your hips to your knee joint and actually allow you to bust through a sticking point. So one more time. So she's going to squat down. She makes it about halfway up. She's struggling. Those hips are fighting. Drive those hips forward and then stand straight up. Remember to drive through the full foot the whole time. I don't want you to drive onto your toes and let your heels pop up. But if your heels and the front of your foot are directly in contact with the ground the whole time. Remember, you're grabbing the ground with the tripod foot, your big toes jammed in the ground. If you do all those things and you just drive your hips under the bar, it'll allow you to fight through a sticking point and correctly stand up for a good squat. All right, everybody, I hope you guys liked today's Ask Why You show where we talked about how to improve your back squat technique. At this time, Anna, I always let my guest ask the question of the day. So do you have a question for everyone?
So my question just was basically, do you guys have a remote coach, or do you have somebody that's there with you every day coaching you, giving you direct feedback live?
So a coach is one of the most important things, especially if you are trying to get into any form of Olympic weightlifting, powerlifting. A coach can be a huge game changer. So if you guys are looking for remote coaching, I know Anna also does that. I'll throw up her contact information in the info box below. And if you are interested in becoming a certified Olympic weightlifting coach, I know Anna also teaches the level 1 and level 2 seminars. So you can look her up for that. Hope you guys are enjoying these Ask Squat You shows. Keep those questions coming. And as always, happy squatting.
Hometown hero on the road doing shows and sold out arenas. You can call me what you want, but you won't ever slow my dreams up. This is the vision of a dreamer. I seem to